Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hope you're all having a great day. I don't know about you guys, but it's the 1st of September. Well, it's 1st of September, wherever you are, basically. But for me, right now, today, I'm filming on 1st of September. And I'm going to start out with an apology because you might hear some yelling and hooting and hollering. Hubby has some friends over watching a football game, and they're upstairs. So I'm doing some crafting and some filming, whatever, while they're doing that. But you might get a little bit of background uh cheers. It's not for me, just means something's happening in the mood. Okay, so we'll start out with that. Hope everybody's doing really well. Today I wanted to show we're going to do some ink blending, and I'm going to be using oxide inks, Distress Oxides by Ranger, Tim Holtz Ranger. And the reason why I wanted to do this is I saw an example of a card that had these really beautiful silhouettes on them. And I have gotten a new stamp set. And so I wanted, this was the stamp, and then the examples were with it. So I wanted to give it a go. But what I want to show is using one or two different masking techniques that you might not be familiar with. So the first one that I'm going to show you, this is so because these are oxides, they're going to stay wet for a longer period of time. So I've prepped some that I will stamp on, but I'm going to show you the technique, and then I'm going to. So I've got these ones aside to dry, pre-did them, but I'm going to show you the technique, and we'll do that. So what I want to show you is this set that I had gotten, and these are from, I believe I got them from Lavinia. I may have gotten them from Temu, but they're it's some of other crafting companies have them as well. They are stencils, but they have shapes in them, so they're kind of almost like a nesting stencil, and then you have the shadow and then the exterior stencil. And I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but you might just be able. Oh yeah, there it is, right there, right along where my finger is here. You can see where the cutouts are, kind of like a laser etching. That's where your card panel can go. So you can know then when you put your card panel in here, you can measure it or set it up to right behind where those kind of laser guidelines are. And then you'll know that your shape is pretty much centered or straight on your card panel. Right. So that's kind of a really handy thing because every once in a while, like, I don't know if I've got it straight. I don't know if I do or not, blah, blah, blah. So if you can match your panel up basically to right behind there. Now, these particular sizes fit so I've trimmed down my card panel front, the panel that I'm going to be working on, to 4 inches by 5 1/4. And that will fit the inner etched line. But if I had left it a little bit bigger, it would also fit to do an etching for a full 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So a full A2 size, right? Okay, so what I'm just going to get done here is I'm going to show you because I have it, oh, really shouldn't have stuck that on my grip mat. Wow, there we go. So you can see how sticky that is, and it will hold on to things that are kind of like a non-porous surface. So I got rectangle, no, sorry, these are ovals. I also got a set of rectangles. I've got a set of circles. These ones I've gotten, and you can tell I've used this one a lot. I use this one, I'm doing a lot of Lavinia stamping because so many Lavinia things are silhouettes. So, and it's nice to create the moon and the sky and everything. So it comes with, so each of these come with like the outer one, and then it also has the inner part. So you can put it over top, but I'll show you how we're going to use it. So I have circles, ovals, rectangles, and a set of squares. Okay. And so I'm going to show you how to use these today. We're going to use a couple of different techniques. I'm just going to put these to the side here, these to the side, and I am going to use the larger oval to do the first card panel. So the first card panel is going to be the more simple one. And then from there, we'll kind of step it up. So what you can't see on here is that I am trying to line up. So I'm lining up my card panel with the etched lines, and I prefer to do the etched lines down because if I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this, but so it's actually a little raised. If you can hear me dragging my nail against that. So it's a little raised. So if I'm using inks and things like that on there, it'll sometimes it catches in there. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to use the full slickness of the back part. So I'm going to turn it over. I also want to leave a little bit of space at the bottom for my sentiment because I'm going to stamp a sentiment on here. Might go at the top. I don't know yet. But I do want to create it and have it a little bit. Maybe I do want to put it at the bottom. Nope, I'm going to put it at the top. So, okay. So I'm moving my card panel down to the I'm keeping it within the etch lines to the sides here, but I am moving it down to the very bottom of the second etch line, just so that I can make sure that I have it. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of room here. Oh, there's a little bit of cheering. Clearly the Elks did something right. For those of you who don't know, I'm located in Edmonton, Alberta. And yeah, the boys are pretty happy about our team. We finally had a few wins. We've had some some very hard losing seasons for many a year now. So this year they're actually got a few wins under their belt. So they'll be all pretty happy about that. So the colors, the first set of colors that I'm going to use, I'm going to do two different kinds. I'm going to do kind of a like a reds and autumnal colors, but then I'm going to do a nice blue kind of sky set as well. So the first color that I'm going to use is Salvage Patina. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to pull out my blending brush. Now, you can see here that these blending brushes, I'm pretty sure I got off of Ali or Timu or something. I just got the colored ones. They have a white bristle, which again, in any time that you're getting a blending brush, I really recommend getting the ones with the white bristles, because then you don't have to label or have, like, you could get the black or brown brushes with the white bristles, and then you'll be able to see what color you've got. I have a bunch of black ones that have black bristles or brown bristles, and it's very difficult to tell what color. So I've had to get like a a silver Sharpie marker and write black on it or yellow or whatever instead. So, but what I have done is I have marked on here that these are my oxide brushes. Let me see if you can read that. Oh, there we go. Let me try turning it the correct way. So these are oxides because again, I don't want to have to clean my brushes between every time I'm inking. I usually don't. I just clean them occasionally. I think I've only cleaned these once. But oxides have a different property than distress inks and water-based inks. So I have a set of brushes for my water-based or dye-based inks. I have a set of brushes for my oxides, and I have a set of brushes for my pigment-based inks. So my VersaFine Clair. Okay. Because all three of those inks have different properties, and I don't like having to clean my brushes in between when I want to do a particular technique. So because I found these for fairly inexpensive, I think I got a whole set of like 20. I think I paid $10 for them. Can also get them off of Amazon too. These actually might have been off of Amazon. I'd rather do that than having to clean in between. However, if you can't get sets of brushes, you can, by all means, wash them, dry them in between. The other thing that you can often do is if you pull out a microfiber cloth, kind of like this, this one's just Dollar Tree one or Dollar Store one, and you can really, 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 really rub it in order to try and get as much color and the pigment properties out of there. Because the problem when you're using a pigment-based ink is it will often have like glycerin or an oil to it, which then sticks and coats, just like it would coat your hair, it coats the bristles of the brush. So it will, I mean, it's fine when you go to this pad, but if you go to a different pad, it changes the properties in your ink. So if you don't have enough of them, that's fine. Try and wash them if you like, is typically what I would suggest doing, but you don't need to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a swirl. Now this is actually a fairly juicy ink pad still. I'm going to tap off a little bit into my lid here, just off. Oh yeah, you can't see that there, off to the side. And I'm going to start from the bottom and I'm going to go up this way. But I'm going to start just off on the mask here. Oh, yes, I should talk about this. This is a grip mat that I got from Alina Cuddle. On the bottom side, it has little nodules. So it's a piece of silicone. It's got some little nodules, but and then the top part is kind of solid silicone. So what it does is it helps to hold, so it's not moving on my glass mat. So the nodules will stick to something that's like porous or solid. And then on here, I can put my cardstock on, not moving, and see, I've been able to stick my stencil around the edges here, so it should basically hold in place too. Now, I still like to put my fingers around the edges just to kind of give it that extra little bit because you just never know when it's going to let go. But yeah, handy little thing. I got it from Alina Cuddle, which is she's a designer, but you'll find her on Ally, Amazon, Temu, all of those kind of things. And you can get this is a let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 by 7. I think there's also a 9 by 9. I think I ended up getting like two of them for $20, maybe two for 15, something like that. And I am sorry, excuse me. I am going to invest actually in the bigger one as well, because I think there's a 9 by 9 that would also be really nice. This works really great for a 4 by like an A2 size card. But if I was going anything bigger, you could see that I would likely be off of my panel here. So sorry guys. Okay, now I've inked up and I'm just going to come in. Again, I'm going to put my fingers down here and I'm going to start off onto anytime you're blending, if you can, you want to try and start off of your paper and bring it in. That'll help you avoid having too harsh of an edge. So I'm going to come in and just blend and then ink up a little bit. See, because I see the other reason why I don't like to clean my brushes too much. So you saw how vigorously I had to rub off on my microfiber cloth. What happens is then it takes the ink out of here because you're pushing a lot of ink onto this brush. And the more that you use it, excuse me, the more that you use it, the more ink you'll have on there. So you're not wasting ink because you can see how much it didn't, despite how much I had already put on there, that's not a very deeply saturating kind of coat. So I had to add more. There we go. See, now that's much more intense. Mhm. So I'm coming in, and what I want to do is I'm going to bring this up, and I want to bring it up a little higher than 3/4. I want to bring it into where my next part of my next color is going to move into. I want to make sure that I am going to be able to, I want to continue to, I want to have some lighter color down here, but then this center color is going to come in this way a little bit, and it's going to come this way a little bit. That's how we're going to have a nice blend. So I want to make sure that I'm bringing, I want a deep, rich tone, as much color down here as possible, and then I'm going to slowly fade it as I come up. Okay. So that's the first color. I'm just going to put my brush off here to the side. I'm going to set that into the lid because otherwise I'll get ink all over the place because, that's how it goes. The next color that I'm going to use is Faded Jeans. Okay, and again, I'm going to put this off to the side here and I'm going to pull my dark blue brush. Okay, and I'm going to ink up, tap off, see what's in there. Okay, and for this one now, again, I'm going to start off on the side, onto my stencil, bringing it onto the card. This again will help you prevent getting harsh lines. Okay? Because what happens is ideally what we need to do when we're ink blending is we want to saturate in order to get the colors to start to blend together. We really have to saturate the paper so that it almost becomes, if you've ever played with watercolors, you need to have the water, like you have to have enough liquid for it to be moving back and forth. Essentially, that's what we're doing. Is so we are saturating the fibers on the paper enough so that the salvage patina and the faded jeans are going to kind of move back and forth within the paper fibers, if that makes sense. That's a good way to visualize it. So again, I'm taking this up. I don't want to go too high because I still need to bring in my darker colors and bring them down. But I do want to make sure that I am going to have a nice line of blue, and I am bringing the faded jeans into the salvage patina. Okay. So now I'm going to put this to the side. Now here's how we're going to move these back and forth so that we don't end up having a harsh line between the lighter blue and the darker blue. Now it helps that I am using the blue family. If I was trying to do reds or something, this would be a much longer process for me. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit here, and I'm going to come in again, starting off off of the stencil, so I don't just and get a giant thing. Um, uh, harsh edge there or something that I'm going to then have to add more and more ink to try and work out. Okay. And so now what I'm doing is I'm taking the salvage patina, and you can see here where I'm starting to bring it up more and more into the blue so that we're starting to see. So you can see it's a really deep tone here, start of a mix of a color here. Okay. And that's what we want. We want to just move that up and down. Okay. And we'll take the blue again, the faded jeans. Blend that out like that. Okay, that's good. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to move this blue brush here, put it back, close that up. Now I'm going to bring in my third color. So I'm going to move this one up so that I don't forget where I'm at. So the next color that I'm going to be using is Villainous Potion. And this one is fairly new. Well, it is a fairly new color to me. And one of the newer colors that's been introduced. So this one is very juicy. So I don't know if you can see here, but I just slightly tapped it, and look at how much ink by tapping in my lid. I'm tapping that off in here. Somebody, the reason why I like to tap off onto my lid is if I were tapping off onto my craft mat here, I would have to clean that up and I wouldn't be able to use that ink. Now, by keeping it in here, I can, if I decide I need to ink something or I want to add a little bit more, instead of going back to my ink pad, I can come back here. When I use my dye-based inks, like my Elements or my Distress inks, when I tap off in here, I can actually add a squirt of water and I can use that ink to watercolor with instead of it. Anytime I put it on my craft mat, that's always going to be something that's going to be have to be wiped up at some point. I can never just store it to use again. So I like to tap off. I got that tip from Joe Rice, actually, from Lavinia, and I think it's a great idea. I find that I waste a lot less ink. Okay, so again, I'm starting off of my paper. I'm starting on the stencil, and I'm going to bring that in. So I'm going to want, that is not good English. So I'm bringing the darker purple. So I'm saturating up here, but I'm also bringing the dark purple, the Villainous Potion, sorry, down into the faded jeans. Because I do have a fourth color that I'm going to put up here a little bit. So I don't have to have it super saturated here, but I do want this to be a nice blend. So I'm going to go back into the lid here, and I'm going to pick up, and then I'm going to start off of my stencil, start on my stencil, and pull it in onto the paper, like so. Okay, so you can see we're getting this really gorgeous transition here. This is quite saturated, so now I'm going to pull in. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to bring in my faded jeans again, and I'm going to go up into the same area that I just brought down. So now I'm going to travel up into that purple, or the Villainous Potion, kind of moving it back and forth. So you can see we have this beautiful transition. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that, actually. So I'm going to put this away, and I'm going to bring in the fourth color, which, strangely enough, is Vintage Photo. Not strangely enough, but is going to be Vintage Photo, because I want to have a nice dark tone, like make it look this purple, deep, deep, deep purple. Okay, so I'm going to grab my brown brush. Now, this is another one that is quite saturated. So I'm tapping off a bit, and I'm going to start off on my stencil, and I just want to catch the top there. And I'm going to add some more into this, and we're going to bring that purple up into the Vintage Photo. All right. Okay. Pretty happy with that. So I'm going to close these up. And that away. Okay, I'm going to give my stencil a quick wipe. I'm going to do the last step before I remove the stencil, the mask. Masking stencil is, I guess, technically what it would all be, is what it would be called. Okay, so giving that a bit of a wipe. Now I'm going to take my Distress sprayer. Okay, so this is, again, a Tim Holtz product for creating sprayed effects. So if you give it a quick, like a mist, if you depress it all the way, if you squeeze it all the way, it will give a very fine mist. Like if I was trying to do watercoloring or something like that, it would give a very fine mist. But if you do it slowly and only depress it about half, you will get larger droplets. And of course, because these are distress oxides, you will get that oxidizing effect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up my stencil, my mask here. That's under my fingernail. Pull that up. And I sprayed that because I didn't want to get to the edges. I only wanted really the water effects to be in the center of my inked, of the places that I've inked. Okay. So there we go. Those are our 4 colors. Pretty nice, right? Okay, I'm going to put that aside to dry. I'm going to give this a quick wipe down, maybe. Put the solid side here, just a quick wipe down with my baby wipe. And then I'll get my here. And I'm just going to move that to the side and give this a quick wipe as well with my baby wipe. And then we'll give it a dry with the cloth. Both sides. Okay. All right, so I think what I'm going to show you is I'm going to do the stamping on this first card. So I'll get the first card completed, I think, and then we will move on to the inking for the next card, because the next card is, or the next front, and kind of show you, we're going to step up. We're going to step up the technique, as Jennifer McGuire says. You don't watch her videos, I highly recommend it. Jennifer McGuire is like the maven of of card making. She has been doing it for many, many years, videos and whatnot. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I'm pulling out my stamp platform. And I'm pulling this out because I think I'm going to have to do this a couple of times. The mask is going to create a bit of an edge. So I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to get a good impression, and it's going to stick. So what I'm putting in here now, this is actually, again, it's a type of grip mat that you can get for stamping platforms. You can get crafty ones. This one is actually, I think you can use like a low tack cricket mats, things like that, and just cut it up to fit the right size is a great idea. Okay, so this is the one that I had previously done. It's pretty dry now, so I'm going to stick it in, and I'm going to stick it in right here. So it can give me enough time. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, stick that down. Make sure my fingers are clean. That's the big thing. Okay, then the other thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to put my masking stencil back on exactly where it was. Okay, so I'm going to rejig that, put that in there, and I'm going to that sit there, make sure that it's got some grip to it. Okay. So the reason why I want to put that in there is because I want to keep the entirety of my, that's sort of out of frame for you guys. Let me move this and see if I can get that back in there. There we go. Hopefully that's better there. Okay, so what I want to do, the reason why I've put the mask back in is because I want to keep the entirety of my stenciled image, or sorry, my stamped image. I want to keep it entirely within the oval here. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So what I want to do here is pull this stamp set out. So you can see I've got these beautiful like cattails, things like that. I think they're just gorgeous, right? So I think that if I were to do this, let's see here, but also do these together. Let's see, which one's going to work the best? I kind of like this shape. I think that'll give me really nice coverage right here along the bottom. So I'm going to use this big one to this particular image. So what I'm doing here is I'm just lining it up right to the bottom of my stencil, the mask stencil here. Okay. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so I'm going to put that. Whoop, whoop. Okay. That, and we're going to pick that up. Okay, and I need my ink. Now, anytime that you are doing a silhouette, I highly recommend using a pigment-based ink. if you're using an off-brand stamp, like a silicone stamp, so you're not using a like a red rubber or shoot, I can't remember what the name of the other one is. But anyway, polymer, photopolymer stamp. If you're just using a silicone or you gotten some stamps from the dollar store, whatever you've gotten, I highly recommend using a pigment-based ink because it will stick to your stamp. So you'll get a good transfer from your ink pad onto your stamp. It will coat the stamp because it has glycerin in it or like an oil, excuse me, an oil product that will stick to the stamp and then it will transfer to your paper. So because it is also a pigment-based ink, it's going to sit on top. So you have to give it time and a little bit of friction for it to transfer from because it doesn't sink into your paper. It sits on top. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to ink up here. You can just kind of see this off to the side here. I'm going to ink up my stamp. And I'm going to check and make sure, like I can lift it here and I can see, have I gotten like what is shiny, what is not. Now, fortunately enough, it's in my stamp platform. So if I make a mistake and I don't get it fully covered, it's fine. It won't be the end of the world because I've got this and I can re-stamp it. That's the beauty of the stamp platform. Okay. So now I've coated my stamp. I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to take my fingers and I'm not doing chest compressions. What I'm doing is I'm just kind of walking. I'm providing a little bit of pressure and I'm just walking my fingers over. And where I want to really focus though is right here on the edge because there's a slight little lip between the plastic of the masking stencil and the card stock, right? So it's slightly higher. So we may end up having to fill in just a bit. Oh, that's actually not bad. Yay me. Okay, but let's give it another coating because I want it to be really nice and deep. This guy here. I want it to be a really nice deep black. So, and by pushing in different areas, again, and I'm not doing like a chest compression, it's not really hard, just kind of walking it along. That provides the friction that the pigment-based ink needs to move from your stamp onto your paper. Because your paper isn't going to be able to, like dye-based inks will take the ink and your paper will draw it inside. It will attract the water, which has the dye in it, because that's what dye-based is it's water-based. So the paper will absorb the water and will absorb the ink at the same time. Pigment based, because it has a glycerin or an oil in it, or solvent of some sort, depending on the kind that you're using, it won't draw that in because that it's kind of like when you mix oil and water or vinegar and water, or sorry, vinegar and oil, like to make a salad dressing, they separate, right? So your paper is the same thing. The pigment property or the oil base or whatever is thicker, and so the paper, the fibers of your cardstock can't draw in the liquid. Okay. Nice. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up. So I'm very happy with how that went. I'm going to clean off my stamp here, give it a wipe with my microfiber cloth, like so. And I'm going to pull this up because I'm also going to stamp look at how nice that is. I also want to, so you can see here that I've got a couple of marks from the pigment-based ink. So I'm just going to come in here with my microfiber cloth while it's still wet, give it a quick wipe down, and then I'm also going to come in with my uh, baby wipe and then give it another dry. Ooh. So this is another thing that I saw again, you guys. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I seem to be. I don't know. I like to wing it. I see a technique and I'm like, okay, I think I know how to do that. And then I kind of, yeah, let's film it and let's see. So I'm really impressed with how that worked. I mean, I do this sort of thing when I am doing the Lavinia ones. So it's not that complicated. It's not that bad, but it's a little different with this particular set. I haven't done it this way before. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to find a sentiment because I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So I've got a few of them off to the side here that I kind of pulled out that I thought, oh, these could be nice. Let me see here. So I've got this happy anniversary, which could be really nice. Let's see. Happy birthday wishes. Let's see. Hey, wishes could be quite nice right across the top there, hey? Or could even do this, let's celebrate. I think what I like about this birthday wishes is that it kind of almost fits within the circle, which is nice, right? Let's see here. And oh, birthday love. Oh yeah, birthday love. Gonna do that one because that fits right within the oval there. I like it. So these are some stamp sets that I picked up over the last little bit. Some of them have dies with them, which is nice. You can stamp and then die cut out your sentiment. Um, I'm not going to do that here, but we'll just put this in there. So I could do this. Now, the other thing that I could do too is I could do I could heat emboss on this. I don't think I will, but what I like is that we've got a small sentiment here too that says sending some, I could fit that down in there, sending some birthday love. And just have it in the black as well. I think that'll be really nice. Oop, that's not quite straight. Sending some birthday love. Ooh, you guys get back on there. That's not going to be good if it lifts. Oh, I smudged my sending birthday love. Let's get that back in there. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. And again, just going to be doing it in black. So I will pull out my pigment-based ink. Again, if you're doing any kind of sentiment, that is also something that I recommend using. You want to use a pigment-based ink. When you use a pigment-based ink, it will give you the I was going to say also the crispier. Nope, it will give a nice crisp edge to it. Nice fine detail. It will highlight all of that. Oftentimes, if you're using like a distressed ink or a a dye-based ink, what you'll end up getting is it'll kind of blow out, or you'll get pooling because your ink will actually bead because it's got water in it. It'll bead on your stamps. So sending some birthday love. Yeah, and I think I'm gonna do one more. Oh yeah, that's standing out really nicely on there. Mm, there we go. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. What do you guys think? That looks pretty good, right? Okay. So now what I'm going to do is now that I've finished this part, I'm going to pull this out and just put it aside to dry. Because again, this ink is all still wet and will smudge if I try to put this onto a card front, trim it down, whatever. So I'm going to put it aside for a little bit, let it just sit, and I will show you. We'll move on to the stepped up inking that I said I would be doing. So let's get that done. Now to pull this out of the off of this grip mat that I have on the go here. So you just want to pull this out and then you just kind of poof it up like that and it will come off. Then you don't rip your paper. Look at that. You know how nice that is. I'm so happy with that. Okay. Let me put this here and I have my cover so that it doesn't get too sticky all over everything else. I don't even know what the heck is on there, but there you go. All right, let's do that. Put this down here. Let's move on to image number 2, because we're going to be using even more stencils or maskings. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I am using instead a smaller oval, and we are going to start. I want to create almost, oh, okay, that's going to have to be the back because it's got a smudge on it. So let's make that the back of the card. I want to create, I'm going to be creating kind of like a sunset, sunrise. All depends on, how you feel about it, whatever, but that's what I want to do. So I'm going to be doing that. And how did I think I went down low again. So, oh yeah, and I also had to do, so I'm going to be using the lower one, and what I want to do is I want to mask off because so this is going to be some cattails in front of kind of a lake. So I want to be able to create a horizon, but also a sunrise. Okay, so to do that, I am going to take some masking tape. This is who is the brand? This is scrapbook.com's mint tape. And it is really excellent because it is an easy release tape without getting, like it won't tear your project, things like that. So you can see here where I was using it earlier to create the image. So, okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to bring this up enough, and I want to get this into is it centered? It's not centered. Lift, 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 lift. So again, I'm using the lines that exist that are etched into the plastic here of actually I'm going to go a little lower, into the plastic of the stencil here. Okay. No, maybe even a little lower. Stop. Just trying to line it up. So you really want to pay attention. You want to make sure that you're looking at your lines, not necessarily the pre-used tape, because that'll send you on a nice little whirly-do. Okay, so the first color that I'm going to pull out is I'm going to pull out my Distress Oxide in Mustard Seed. Okay, and I'll pull out my yellow brush and tap some off, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a nice yellow all the way around. Yeah. So you can see here underneath the stencil, you can see where the tape is. So it's highlighting. So I'm going to have a line right where this line of orange is. That's going to be a hard edge of yellow, basically, because it's not going to be going underneath that. I'm also going to have this kind of oval egg shape here of yellow. And then it should be white, mostly white around it. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that's the yellow for now. Let's put that. Now I am going to pull in. The next one that I'm going to be using is Crackling Campfire, and this is kind of an orangey color. And you can see here that I do have some on the edge on my lid. So I'm just going to tap into that because I don't need a lot. I'm going to come in here because I want to soften. I want to make sure that I'm softening this edge. My example that I did was very harsh for this edge, but I also kind of want to bring like a streak across the sky a bit. Almost looks like a cloud, right? Okay, let's bring the yellow in again. Nice and bright. Okay, so I'm going to put the yellow away for a couple of moments. And I'm going to keep the Crackling Campfire out because I'm going to need it. But what I want to do next is I'm going to give this a wipe before I try and lift it. All right, now I'm going to lift my stencil here, or my mask. Sorry, guys. All right, so I've lifted that, and so you can see I've got this nice, wonderful white uh, um, border, and now I'm going to peel my tape, and you can see how easily that came off. It's really nice, right? Now, what I want to do is, again, I'm wanting to create a horizon. So I'm going to do this here. And I'm going to kind of, I don't know why I say that so often. Right, I'm going to push down here so that I can get a nice crisp edge because I'm wanting to keep this to start with. Ideally, what we're trying to do is create like a halo so it looks like the sun is coming down onto this water. Okay. The second one that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in right around here, like so. Yep, like so. Okay. And so this is going to be my landline, if you want. That's not the right word. It's not my phone line. It's just a landline. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line my masking stencil back up with where it was. And I'm going to push it down so that it's being held around. Okay. And this is the important part right here is that this is going to stay Okay, now from here, what I'm going to pull out is I'm going to pull out some fired brick. So this is a slightly more reddish orange color. And my red blending brush, dab that off. And now I'm going to come in and I want to start at the bottom. This is going to be a little darker at the bottom, but I'm also going to bring it up into that orange because you can see how stripe, it's like, oh, poof, stripe just went right there, right? We don't need that. So I want to bring this down, blend this in here so that it doesn't look like I've just got this harsh edge. I want to soften it a bit. It won't be the end of the world because I'll also be stamping on here too. So again, even if you've finished all of your inking, you thought, oh my God, what have I done? Right. So this is essentially what we're going for. This is what it's going to look like in the end. But you can see it looks pretty harsh right here. But once I've done the stamping and things like that, because this isn't the finished product yet. So I want to make sure that I'm continuing to go on with it. You never throw it away. You want to check it out, see where you're at, see what else you might need to add in. You don't know, right? Okay, so I think that's a softer blend there, I'm hoping. And I'm going to bring that orange down into there. Okay, now let's again, we'll give this a wipe. Now, if you're cleaner than I am, you don't always have to keep giving these a wipe. It's what I would say. But unfortunately, I am not. So there we go. So now what I want to do is I'm going to peel this piece of tape. Okay. I'm going to pull that off for now. Put that to the side, and I'm going to have this come back down. And again, I want to bring in my lighter colors. So I'm going to bring in my yellow. Do this here. Tap it off a little bit. And yellow here. Up into there. Mixing that over those kind of colors there. And some of the crackling campfire as well over that deeper color there. Okay, that. And, before I go and put my finger in it. Okay, now I'm going to wipe this off. Alrighty. Okay, so let's see where we're at. All right, so that is going to be that part. Now what I want to do is I am going to switch this out. So I'm going to pull this off like so. I'm going to stick that over here. And I'm going to bring in the crackling campfire. Again, we're going to soften some of these edges here, right? But I do want it to still look like a horizon because I'm going to be carrying this across the, more of the panel is going to be used. Okay, so I'm now done, I believe, with this. And what I'm going to bring in is the interior of that oval, right? So I'm going to bring in the rest of the masking stencil or the other part. And I've just added some mint tape on the back of here because I want to hold it in place right here because I'm going to now do some more work around these edges. So now I'm just going to fit this over where my inking was, or close to anyways. It doesn't have to be perfect because again, a sunset will have like the colors will move, or the sunrise, whatever. The colors will move with each other, right? So, okay, so with the fired brick, that was the harder edge here. So I'm going to bring that in here and tap off, and I'm going to bring that to the edge and kind of to the side here. Again, starting on the mask, right? So much easier to pull color from the side here and mask it, or than it is to try and get it out of there, which it's very difficult to get ink out. Oh, poop. Do you know what I forgot to do? All right, so this is going to be slightly different. We're going to have to be doing some trimming. Pooper duper. Oh, well, okay. Well, that's all right. We're going to work with it. Because I forgot that I was masking this. So, because what I want to do is create a really nice white border. That ain't going to happen now. figure out what I'm going to do on that edge. Maybe we'll just have that. And well, you know what? We're going to continue on. We're going to see what it looks like. But in the meantime, what I'm trying to do is line up my linear lines. Ah, that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it now? Yeah, I'm just gonna line up the edges here with to try and get this as straight as I can. Because again, for me, doesn't have to be perfect. I like it to be what it is, so and that'll work out well. Okay, so what I'm wanting to do here is I'm using this masking stencil to try and have the white line around. Obviously, I'm not going to totally have that because I've gone out here a little bit already because I got ahead of myself. Not the first time that that has happened, but that's okay. We will work with it and see what we end up with, right? Okay, so I'm gonna bring this yellow down here. So, and again, you can see that I've got this nice line of yellow because if it's on water, right, your reflection is going to, I'm trying to create the reflection of where the light would be showing on there. In here with the orange, like so, and do like this fire brick here. And like that down here a little bit. Put that in. All right, whoops. Okay, and so now I want to come in with the crackling campfire a little to the edge. So this is the color that's going to be the closest to the yellow that is underneath the masking stencil here, right? So if I'm kind of creating that glow or that halo look around the the sun, right? I want to have the color that's kind of going to match that the most, kind of next to it here. Now with the fired brick, I'm going to come around kind of the edge here. Just darken that up a bit. That into the orange again. Making sure that my colors are coming in, kind of moving from the darker tones to the lighter tones to the darker tones as I'm kind of ringing it here, which I think will make it quite lovely. That. Go. Okay. Now the next color that I'm going to bring in is Lumberjack Plaid, and this is quite a deep red. Just going to give my brush a little bit of a wipe here. Now, I don't have to clean my brush because I am going from a ready orange, but I'm using the same formulation of an ink. So I'm using a Distress Oxide brush on a Distress Oxide coloring pad. This one is very juicy. So now I'm going to come in. I want just this little bit of this slightly darker red to kind of catch the edges here. Right? We're going to add a little bit of um, depth here or drama. Ooh, a little bit too much down there into the yellow, but that's okay. We can fix that. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to come back with my crackling campfire and go over that red that I just put in. Because again, we don't want any harsh lines, so we need this to kind of blend, right? Look at how much down here you can see where it's kind of taken over a little bit there. So I'm going to add some ink, the colors that I had of the orange, a bit of the yellow, bring that in here again, and then crackling campfire to kind of blend that out. Bring that. Okay. And then for the final, well, not the final touch, because we'll lift the mask and we'll see kind of where things have added, if there's anything else that needs to be added in. The final color that I want to add is aged mahogany. And so, whoops, this is kind of like a deep reddy burgundy brown-ish. And I'm just going to come in again on the edges on the top here, just to add that little bit of depth again on the edges. Kind of makes it, adds that little bit of darkness, pops that up. Okay, so let's put that away before I go and stick my finger in it. And let's give it a wipe. Give the stencil a wipe here. So let's see here. See how this turned out and what I'm going to do to fix my boo-boo of not putting my stencil down. So what I might just do is actually just, if I did my lines well enough, I might just trim it right to the lines and then pop it up on a white card base. That's a possibility, right? So let's wipe this off too. Give it a wipe before we go and lift it. Okay. So I'm going to lift this. Oh, no, I'm not. Okay. The first thing that I want to do before I lift my mask, because I don't want any starlight, whatever, of the bleaching on the actual sun, the path of the sun. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do my little spritzy before I pull up that oval mask. There we go. Okay, now I can pull this up and we'll see what we've got here. All right. Wait. So you can see how well that mint tape didn't do any damage on my paper, especially considering that how saturated it was. It was quite wet, but we actually have a pretty decent line here. So what I want to do is I'm just going to kind of come in again. I don't know why I say that. I'm just going to kind of, anyway, whatever. And this is what it is. It's the language I use. There we go. So that's a pretty decent line there. I'm going to bring in my crackling. Nope, this is the fired brick. I want to make sure I'm bringing that in here, softening those edges. If you didn't want to have this super hard edge, but again, it's looking really cool as a sunrise, right? Like, so that would definitely be some water. I can do things once I've done the stamping, etc. This is going to look really great once it's done. But if I didn't want to have the harsh line of using tape, what I could do is like I could have torn the edge of the tape. So let me pull a, okay, so I've got some, like this is some example, but you can see here, so this is the end of the tape. But if I had pulled the long part of the tape, what I could have done is just kind of did a nice shape along the center of it and torn it, and then it would have a like maybe a more natural line to it. That's a thing that could be done. You could also use paper to do the same thing. I've done that's what I typically use when I'm doing Lavinia things is just some paper. Well, I actually have the stencils now, but what I used to use was just paper and just tearing an edge that you could then put in and you can ink. You start on the paper and draw it down, or start on the paper and draw it up, whichever way you want to go. So let's pull this off. Ouch. There we go. Okay. So that looks pretty good, actually, even with the boo-boo on there. So let's see what we're going to do to fix it. Well, actually, that's not going to be the one that I'm going to make the card with. I got to let this dry. But let's see what we're going to do here. Okay. So I think that what I would do typically, what I probably will do. So again, here's our panel. It's really cool. That is very, very, very cool. I'm really happy with how that turned out. This is the one that I'm going to use to create the card, but I'll show you what I would do, what I will do with this particular one. It's dry enough right now that I can just open. So because I did go outside of the stencil lines, all I need to do is just go in with my guillotine trimmer, put it in there, trim it up. Just take it down, all of the red, and just trim it down to easy peasy. Is it my favorite thing that I wanted to do? No. But will it work? Yes. And now all I need to do then is I can still stamp on this. Oh, shoot, I probably should have left that in there. Then I could have done the stenciling and done this, but that's okay. So we will just, because I can just stamp this one, I'm going to stamp right off the edge this time, I believe is what I'm going to do. So to do this, well, you know what? I might do my stamping. We'll see how dry that is when I get ready to do the stamping. Okay, so next thing now, I'm going to bring in again, what did I do with that other pile of, yeah, let's move these to the edge here. Okay, I'm going to bring in my stamping platform again. Okay, I don't need that. And take off the plastic off of this. Okay. Okay, and so I'm going to put this on, line her up. Like so. And I'm also going to bring in the mask and I am going to line it up again right where it has been, like just line up along the edges of where it was originally. Okay, so I'm just going to add that in just like that. And then I'm going to come in and put my magnets and everything right there. Okay, so let's pull in a couple of options here. So I'm loving, let's see here. So that is really cool. Kind of brings that edge in. I'm gonna think I want, yeah, okay. So I think what I like is I kind of want to get this edge right here, kind of bring that in. And then I need something in this area. So I'm wondering if I might have to do this in a couple of different ones because I like how well this comes up and brings into my like my lake line there. So I'm going to do this in a couple of different stages for this stamping. So the first one that I'm going to do, so if I do that, it will give me room to do one of those. Yep, perfect. Okay. So I'm going to use the same one that I used the first time to get kind of the line like this to give it the grounding effect along here. And then I'll have two that can shoot out into it. Or well, you'll see what that's going to look like. But first of all, so I'm going to start with one, okay, making sure the mask is still in place. And again, I'm going to pull out my VersaFine Clair. So this is the Nocturne VersaFine Clair. And I'm going to ink up. Okay, so we're inking up here and bring that to the side. I'm gonna bring this over. Walk, 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 walk. Do, 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 do. Just like that. Okay, and it's actually a pretty good coverage. No, I need to get a little bit more at the bottom. Whoop, that's not gonna work. Okay, can't ink it up with the lid. Gotta use the whole thing. Okay, so I didn't get quite enough coverage down here. So I want to try and just work my fingers a little bit more at just the lip here. See if I can get that a little bit closer to the edge. Yeah, much better. Okay, so now I'm gonna wipe this off and hand it back to my stamp set here. So let's take this one. So put that back. I also want to be very careful, and I'm going to give it a quick wipe that so that I'm not picking that up or transferring that anywhere else. Okay, so now the other ones that I was thinking of, stop putting those down on those. I think this one is going to be really cool to bring in here. Like that. It's going to have some really interesting kind of like dimension that way. And then I also think this one will come off really nice and just kind of hit the corner here. Okay, let's get this one. So now, because I can stamp right over top of this, I can do these two. I don't have to worry about, because the center one is done already. So let's just do that. Pick these up, go, and it's, oh, yeah. Now I might have to stamp this twice because again, this is a brand new stamp set. I haven't used it yet, and I didn't condition it. So you can condition it by rubbing your fingers over it and kind of like doing this, like rubbing your fingers over it will remove some of the manufacturing. There's kind of like a plastic coating on it that sometimes will interfere with the ink adhering to your stamp. But, or because I was sensible and put it in my stamp platform, I can just re-ink it again because it's going to play with those inks, right? So I can just kind of coat it. That will also condition your stamp by using it a few times. Okay, and I noticed here in the corner, actually, what I want to do is I'm going to move that magnet out a bit. Let's get that like that. Oh yeah, that's kind of cool. And so you can see now where it's kind of bringing down that light. And how do I feel about that? I think that's pretty good. Let's wipe off the stamp. So this is another way too of conditioning your stamp is you can just go in and rub it with either your finger, say like this, take that off. You can use a cloth, or you can ink it up and stamp multiple times. That will also condition your stamp because you're basically conditioning it to adhere or to prepare it to take the ink. So you can use ink to prepare it, basically. Save. All right. Out of there. Okay, stamp set is back together for now. Right. And let's see. Now, before I go and smudge, it's pigment ink will eventually dry as a permanent ink, is the plan. So I do want to kind of clear things and clean it up a bit. Now I'm going to pull this off. Look at that. So nice. I love it. I'm very happy with it. There's a few places where I look like I could have smudged it a little bit, not smudged, but where my stamp got a little bit, I didn't line up my stencil perfectly, but that's okay. It's not, again, handmade, not Hallmark. So that's okay. And let's see here. Let's get that wipe. I'm going to move these to the side again so you guys can see what I'm doing. So you can see here along the bottom, maybe you can't see that, just along the bottom right here, right there. Yeah, there's just a little bit where you can see the yellow, where my stamping didn't quite ground enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm just going to go in. See my fingers clean? Yes, there. And I'm just going to do some dots like right here along the edge. I don't want to make it too much, but I'm dotting. And then this way, what happens is your paper kind of absorbs it, but it doesn't have to be, it's not like a super harsh line. And I can continue some of these cattails like this. I'm just drawing in some of the lines, just a little bit, not a lot. Just want to make it look like this solid part was supposed to continue all the way so that it finishes and looks like it was supposed to. There we go. Okay. So that was a Sharpie fine liner. So I don't know if you guys can see. Oop, I gotta move my drink out of the way. There we go. Okay. So I did come outside the line a little bit, but it's because I had a bit of a smudge there. So all I've done is just popped it out a little bit. I could do the same thing over here, just to make it look even on both sides. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two little cattails and just kind of continue them on just like that, so that it looks like they were meant to be just outside the line. Right? You see that there? Okay. So I've now taken what was a smudge to this side and just drawn it and made it a little bit even on the other side. Okay. Now let's find a sentiment that will fit for here. Because I think that's a good plan. Good plan. Good plan. Big day, big birthday day. I really like how nice and simple this is, right? Like it's really lovely. These kind of cards, actually, these would make really lovely. Oh yeah, see that birthday wishes fits really nice across the top there, just down into the sun. Yep, I like that one. I'm gonna do that one. But these would make really lovely sympathy cards, actually, just doing a die cut with sympathy or that kind of thing. That would look really, really lovely. Do the die cut, or you could even just stamp on there with deepest sympathy, like right in the same area here of where I'm doing this. That would be really nice, right? Deep sympathy or thinking of you, but look at how nicely the wishes is going to fit within that, like it fits just right within where my colored area is here. So just trying to, because I'm not pulling out what do you call it, a ruler to make sure that it's mostly straight. Sending some birthday wishes, party time. Happy sending birthday wishes. Now I could do for you, but I think I just really like that. Now we could even come down a bit more, actually. Give that a little bit of balance. Yep. Like, oh yeah. Look at how nice that's gonna look. Oh yeah, that's great. I like the extra bit of the darker color, like giving the top, so it'll give it a nice balance and a nice weight. Okay, there we go. I'll stop futzing with my stamp there. And if I look through this, looks pretty straight. Okay, so again, if I wanted to, what I could do is come in and do this as a, I could heat emboss, so that the sentiment would be nice and shiny kind of thing and permanent. And then I wouldn't have to wait for it to dry because I don't know if you can see, but this is still, let's see if you can see the shine from the cattails. That is still wet ink, right? So if I were to try and do anything with this, you notice I'm not touching there. I'm just touching in this area. But if I were to do anything with that, I would smudge it. So I could use clear embossing powder over this. It would heat set and then it would be dry. I wouldn't have to worry about it. But I'll give it a couple more minutes. I'm not going to do that today. You guys have been patient long enough. So let's do this. Finish that. Stamp it again because I want this to be nice and dark. But again, you can see I'm not adding a ton of pressure. I'm not doing chest compressions. I'm just walking my fingers over this because I don't want, this is a very fine stamp here and I don't want it to blow out. Like I don't want it to squish in certain places or things. I just want it to touch the paper, transfer the ink and lift. Okay. Very nice. Do I think that needs to go one more? I think it does need to go one more. All righty, let's get, I like how dark and saturated this birthday is. It's very solid. So I want it to look solid on there. So I need the paper, I need it to sit on top. Because again, this paper already has a lot of ink in it. So it's not going to saturate into it. But oh yeah, this looks very, what's the thing that I'm thinking of? Like almost like a, when you, like a what's that California posters like with surfers, things like that. That's kind of what this reminds me of, like just that font and then the way that it's looking. I'm kind of liking it. It's very cool, very cool. All right, here we go. Let's put that to the side. Now I'm going to pull this out and that one again. I'm just going to fold this and then see the card pops off, so I don't have to try and tear it off of there because that's never a good thing. It can end up tearing your project, which of course you don't want to do. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this up so that I don't get too much dust or anything on it. And I'm going to add so this is actually a stencil, like a sentiment alignment thing. This one here. So you can actually put your stencil, like you put your cardstock behind this, put this down, and then you can see if, are you centered? Are you straight? Blah, blah, blah. I like to use those. I got that from Simon Says Stamp. It was super cheap. And then I push this behind the mat here, and then it always travels with me. I know where it is. I don't have to worry about trying to find it. But there it is, right? Okay, I'm gonna put that to the side and I'm gonna put this away because I'm done with that. And let's just quickly finish these into cards. So we've got two of them here. So what I would do here. So, okay, this one's still wet, so I'm not going to do this one, but let's do this one. So this guy has dried. Now, I think what I want to do is I'm going to put it on a nice, because it's got such a beautiful color to it, right? I'm going to pull out a couple of cards that are colored cardstock. So colored, I'm going to call, let me try that again. I'm going to pull out a couple of bases of colored cardstock and we'll just see which one do we like it with. Okay, so I have trimmed this again. So this card will be 4¼ by 5½. It's a standard A2 size card. Okay, and this one's a side fold, or could do it horizontal or horizontal or portrait or landscape or portrait, whichever one you want, whatever. And I have trimmed my panel down to be 4 by 5¼ right? If you recall, I had already said that that's what I had done. Yeah, I got a smudgy on there. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, but there seems to be a bit of the schmutz on my paper. So I am going to quickly pull out my Best thing ever. This is a mono sand eraser. So when this happens and you get a bit of ink or something, you're not sure what it is on your paper, you come in and you take this sanding eraser. So it's a like a piece of rubber, whatever, but it's also almost like a piece of sandpaper. And what it will do is it will start to lift some of the actual fibers of the paper so that you can just buff that oopsie right out, which is great. This, I noticed I have another little bit of ink there. There we go. Yay! Like it never happened. Woo! Okay, now I'm not quite prepared here. I'm going to work on opening my glue press. I'm waiting. So here are the colors. So we have this one. This one's actually not bad. Kind of goes with the lighter blue that's in there, right? Like where the Salvage Patina moves into the faded jeans. So that's not bad. And just keep getting this off here. So it's one option. Then because we added the purple in, I could also go with this purple, which is quite nice, right? That's not bad. I think it actually gets a little bit too dark. I prefer of the two, I prefer the lighter blue color. Go, let's put that there. Put that there. So of the two, I prefer the lighter blue than the purple. But let's check out this. So this is a top folding note card, but look at how that pops right off of there. Like that's just lovely. Which one do we like better? So we've got this one and we've got this one. You know what? I like the dark blue. I'm gonna do the dark blue. Sometimes you want a bold card. So that's what I'm gonna do is now obviously on this dark blue, it's very difficult. I can't do my stamp on it. I have a stamp that says created by Creations by Corrine or something like that. I don't, my mom and dad got it for me last year for Christmas. It's great. And then it just has my email address in case like people that I give cards to or whatever, if somebody would like some, they can contact me and purchase some. That is an option. But that way then they can do it. But because this is such a dark blue, I can't do that on this particular one. And that's fine. It doesn't have to be on all of them, right? So I'm going to stick that down just using some adhesive. So you can see this is a very flat card, right? It's a simple one dimension. So very easy to go in the mail. There's nothing. I haven't added any bling. I haven't added anything else onto it yet. I can. The only other thing that I would do is on the inside, once I'm done here, is I will go in and I will add a white piece of paper in here of some off cardstock or whatever, some even copy paper works, but just something because then somebody can write a note in here and I'll cut it down so that it's just in the center here. But if we wanted to, we could add like some stars or some, I don't know, like some, we could highlight around the edge here in glitter. But I actually just really, this is so simple. So we can keep this one like this. That's what I'm going to do for this one. Now I'm going to put these two back because we didn't use those ones. So put them back in my stash. So you guys can't see it, but just off to the right hand here, I have a bunch of card bases that I've already pre-cut that are pre-cut. I also have like card panels that are colored that I can do as well. And we can, so again, because I have the edge on this one, because I've done the white. So for example, so this one I had to trim down so it doesn't have a white border. So I wouldn't want to stick that just like that. I want a little bit more definition. So what I would do on this particular one is I would either do it on a white border, just like that. Okay, so I could do that and then pop it off probably to give it that little bit extra. But I could do that one, or because you can see what happens if I do this. It's just white on white, right? So I like this. That looks really great. But what I could also do on this one is, if I want to do it on the red, is do a white, like pop it up, white background, pop it up, and then put that on a red card or something to that extent. That is what I would do with that guy there. So let me see what I've got here in terms of colors that could be quite lovely with this guy, because I do like this red. That's really nice. I also have kind of a different colored red, and I also have some black. So let's have a looky and see what we like. Okay, so this is the first one. Right, so we've got this is a nice, I think this is Schoolhouse Red, I think this deep red. Don't quote me on that, which is from maybe Simon Says Stamp, but anyway, so these are a thicker and heavier cardstock, but they're quite nice. And so that's very nice. This is also this is a bit closer in color to the reds that I used. So that's really nice. And then we have this top folding, nice thick, like, whoa, look at how that pops off of there. Oh my God. Yeah, it's gonna have to be the black. Sorry, guys. Might have liked something else, but woo-wee, that is Samanchi. So I'm gonna do that on some black there and call that good too. So you can see she's still wet in those center cattails there. So again, I'm going to be very careful while I'm putting this down. So again, this is a top folding note card, 4¼ by 5½. So that's a half of a sheet of paper that's 8½ by 11, right? So you just cut it in half and then you fold it. So depending on which way you cut it, will tell you which way you can fold it in half, and that'll either give you the like a side folding or top folding, basically. That's how that works. Okay, so now I'm just going to try and eyeball it to get it into place. Wait. So again, I can't use my stamp on this one, but that's okay. I don't feel like I need to have my stamp on here. And I'm very gingerly going to be moving around here to kind of push this down. I'm actually going to use my some stamp blocks here so I can get that. Whoop. Okay, get an ink there. Let's just get it here. There we go. Good. All right, guys. Well, that was a fairly long video, and I'm seriously just going to leave these. I don't know that I'm going to do anything else. I could highlight. Oh, okay, I lied. I lied. What I'm going to do here, do I even have it in here? I should have one. I have it. Always have an extra one. Whoop, there it is. Okay, this is my jelly roll. This is a jelly roll pen by Sakura. This is, I think it's called Stardust or something like that. It's actually a clear glitter one. And what I want to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to outline where the edge of the sun is, like this. Okay. And I'm going to go here. Whoop, whoop. Because I don't think I really do want to keep it as a single layer. So I'm not going to add any I'm not going to add any oh, somebody must have just scored. I'm not going to add any like pearls or stars or anything like that or sequins. Certainly could, not a big deal to this, but I don't really think that it's necessary here. And we're going to have this kind of coming down this way, like this. And so that's going to give us a bit of like where the sun is, but I want to do just a couple of dashes here where the sun would be hitting some of these edges, because again, it's kind of being lit from behind, right? So the sun would glisten off of some of these guys here. So the nice thing about this too is it adds a little bit of zhuzh, but doesn't make it something that, oh, I couldn't possibly give this to a guy. Well, why not? I mean, it's just a little bit of this is what it looks like when they, have you got a guy that goes fishing? I don't know. I was talking to a farmer on Friday and he was like, oh, are you going to the lake, going fishing this weekend? And I was like, going to the lake, but I'm not fishing. I am not a fisher person. But that's okay. There are others who are, and they enjoy it, and that's nice. But this is right. This is what it would be like. They had, this beautiful glow and the sun just rippling off of the water. Yeah, like that's gorgeous, right? So, and then we can do this is kind of like our water horizon here, right? That was what we were looking for. So let's add that in a little bit of sparkle here. Yeah, that. Ooh. Cool, cool, cool. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Okay, so there's one. You see that? Look at. Doesn't that just all of a sudden make it look like it's at the lake? Like so cool. So cool, so cool. So now I'm going to do essentially the same thing for here. Okay. And I'm just going to draw the outline right along the edge of the stencil, like where the stencil mask was. And okay, and I'm going to come this way. There we go. And what what else do we have to do? Oh, I'm kind of not catching the line there. Catch the line, catch the line. Now this one too, because it's kind of nighttime, if I wanted to, I could add some flecks into like the sky, right? Like this one you can clearly see sun is up. This one is looking more like very early morning or dawn, like before the sun is coming or nighttime kind of thing. So I could even do a few dots like this to make it look like it's a bit of starlight, a little bit there. But then we're also going to add in a few things here. Let's get this, make it look a little marshy, a little bit of highlight here, a little bit of highlight there. This could be moonlight, right? Moonlight in the cattails. I'm going to try not to keep doing this because I could literally be doing this and futzing for quite some time for you guys. Just like, all right, how long can we make this video, Karine? Anyway, so here we go. So I'm just going to add a couple more highlights in there because that now feels a little dark in the edge here. So I want to catch where the holes in the stamp were. There we go. I like that. Okay, and I just noticed I have a smudge where I have missed and I think I'm quite far down enough to the edge here. So that I am going to fix a little bit here. Just drawing it right to the edge of where the stencil was. Don't want to do super fine lines. Sorry, like thick lines. I just want it to look like, oh, I just need to catch that last little bit of the edge there. Okay, so these are going to be our two cards for today using masking stencils. I hope you really enjoyed them. Look, oh, look at the highlight up there. You can see the stars in the sky. Love it. Anyway, and we've got the water line on this one. So we've got kind of got daylight, like sunset, sunrise, and then we've kind of got like moonlight or dark still, sun just starting to come in. But really lovely one layer cards. Please let me know if you guys, I hope you enjoyed the class today. I hope you enjoyed it and can find the supplies. Very, very simple. If you don't have these stencils, go ahead and cut paper, like use a protractor. You can make a nice circle, or you can cut a square, cut it, and you can do these kind of things without having to have those stencils. You just need the ink. Could even do this with watercolors, with paints. That would work. Markers could probably try it. Give it a go. It's a beautiful, beautiful technique. Ends up giving you beautiful cards, which is nice. Can never go wrong with that. And then, yeah, please let me know in the comments if you have any questions, if there's something else that you would like to see. Other than that, remember to keep it kind. Also, just want to let you guys know that I will also be starting to put in a buy me a coffee link. So, and that's my videos will still always be free. But if you feel like the class had value to you and you would like to put in for it, like $2 or $3, $4, whatever, there's a link where you can go and just contribute that, and that will come to me, and it just kind of helps to keep things going for me. Again, they will always be free. You are welcome to watch. There is no, like, I'm not going to do a Patreon or anything like that where it's a pay per view or whatever. I'm finding it enough to just get this content out, so I won't have enough time to make it special for Patreon people. But yeah, in the buy me a coffee, my understanding is that it's, if you found the class helpful and you wanted to put in a thing, it's much more on a volunteer or a donation kind of thing. Yeah, you can just do that below. The link will be in the description below. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day and give it a try. If you do give it a try, please let me know. Remember to keep your comments kind, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.